The gentlemen's game could make its way to the grandest sporting event, the Olympics, after 128 years. That's right, cricket has won a hard-fought battle and it will now be added to the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Squash, flag football and lacrosse have also been added to the list. But let's focus on cricket for now. A final decision is still pending. However, the International Cricket Council or the ICC says they are certain that cricket will get the approval. If it does, the 2028 edition of the Olympics will feature cricket after a gap of over 100 years. Now, back in the year 1900, cricket was played at the Olympics, and guess which countries were playing? England and France. France. A little hard to imagine, right? Let's fast forward 128 years, and France has moved away from cricket. England, of course, still one of the most dominant teams, and with cricket returning to the Olympics, countries get another chance to compete for the top spot. Now, it will be unfair on our part to say that cricket is making an entry in the US because of the Olympics. In fact, cricket has gained steadfast popularity across US and Canada over the years. And one of the big reasons for it is its South Asian diaspora. There are millions of South Asians in North America, and quite a few of them are fans of the sport. Though the sporting discourse of the US is dominated by American football, basketball and baseball, cricket is finding buyers too and slowly gaining some ground. Now, for folks that are not acquainted with cricket, here's an easy way to explain the sport's format. Cricket has three main categories for both men and women. The long form is called Test cricket. It happens over 5 days, and it's the one that we call the OG, the format that truly tests the skills and strategic inputs of the squads. Then there are the 50-over matches called one-day internationals, like what's happening at the World Cup now. These games usually last anywhere between 8 to 10 hours. And then, of course, there's the fast-paced T20 format, a short-form, action-packed version of cricket where the matches end in 4 hours. Perfect, much like a movie. And guess what? America is going to co-host the 2024 Men's T20 Cricket World Cup too. Matches will be played in the cities of New York, Dallas and Miami. Cricket has entered the American market and it looks to make a big splash next year. Now, the roots of this, if you remember, would go back to 2015 when two legends, friends of the field, Sachin Tendulkar and Shane Warne, decided to bring the sport to the USA. Thus, Cricket All-Stars was born. Multiple teams with legends across countries like Brian Lara, Virender Sehwag, Wasim Akram, Mutai Muralidharan. The list was long and impressive. All descended to play an interesting sport of T20 amongst each other in teams. And the crowds came in big numbers. But owing to financial crisis, this ended being a one-time event. Today, cricket is spreading its roots in North America. The lucrative Major League Cricket, or MLC, took place earlier this year, a league that has top Indian Premier League franchises like Mumbai Indians, Chennai Super Kings and the Knight Riders invested. In the month of August, I had the chance to speak to one of the most well-known Indian batter and wicketkeeper, Robin Uthappa. He spoke about an even shorter format called T10, which happened right after MLC in USA. Basically, a match where each side plays only 10 overs. That featured many top cricketers like Chris Gayle, Shahid Afridi, Yuvraj Singh and, of course, Uthappa himself. Could this be the future of cricket? We don't know for sure. Here's what he had to say, though, about the cricketing experience in the USA. You've just sort of come back from a stint with the US T10, the US T10 league as well. How was that experience for you?
It was a great experience. I think T10 cricket is something that's really nice. I think it's great for cricket in a sense that it's a great version of the game to take to introduce the game to lesser playing nations. I think it's a great version of the game to introduce to anyone who hasn't played cricket. So to any other countries who haven't played cricket, it's a great version to introduce. And then you can build up slowly, because then you can teach them the rules of the game through this version, and then kind of build it up to T20 and 50-over cricket, and then Test match cricket. So I think it's in that sense, a great introductory kind of version of the game. Having said that, playing the game is a lot of fun as well. You suddenly realize that T20 cricket, you still have a lot more time than you can actually imagine in your head as a batter. So I think it actually makes the game that much more competitive. And I have quite enjoyed myself playing this version of the game.
How was the experience in in the US when it came to the fanfare or it came to fans? Because you've heard that a lot of the venues were thronged by many Indians. Did you experience the same sort of energy? I know it's not going to be, how the Premier League in India is, but how was the energy in the stadiums like?
Well, unfortunately, this tournament that happened in the US, the location we played in was affected by the storm season. So people in the States are very aware that how the storms can affect matches. In fact, first few games of the tournament were affected by rain, and a lot of those games were washed out. So we didn't have too much of the crowds coming in because they were obviously well aware that this was happening. But having said that, that there were still a few Indians, some die-hard Indian fans that were there, subcontinental fans that were there, because a lot of Indians are playing, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Sri Lankans are all playing the tournament. So there were there's still a fair few there, but not in the numbers that you would generally kind of experience. But in America, that there's like I said, subcontinent, population is very big. So that there will always be, like in the MLC and even in the T20Is that happened between India and West Indies, there was a lot of fanfare and packed houses there.
The South Asian diaspora is indeed igniting a steady interest in cricket, and the sport is growing in the US, from being just a one-time thing to now a sport that will be followed, celebrated, and yes, practiced too. No wonder they are co-hosting the next T20 World Cup with the West Indies. But when the Olympics are held in 2028, it will be different. Olympics is the largest sporting event in the world. To have cricket as a part of it means a lot for the sport itself. It can create eagerness and interest in other nations that do not really play cricket. And the more nations that play cricket, the better it is for the growth of the sport. It's not just the US which is seeing cricket fever. The sport has gained popularity in West Asia too. Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates have their national teams now. In Central Asia too, Mongolia has its own team, very young, just a few years old. They even participated at the recently concluded Asian Games in Hangzhou. It's clear the sport that was niche is catching on globally and taking over a continent that never used to play for decades. And its inclusion in the 2028 LA Olympics could give it a major shot in the arm on the international sporting stage. It's the dream of every cricketer, the ultimate glory. Few manage to keep their date with destiny. But for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani, and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams, Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.